entering the exciting world of electronics, perhaps the most fascinating and certainly one of the most profitable worlds known to mankind. And electronics is not nearly so complicated as it sounds. During your entire training program at United Electronics, you will progress rapidly and easily at a steady pace. You will find yourself looking forward to each new project received, enthusiastically anticipating new information. In short, you will enjoy preparing yourself for the many fine job opportunities open to the electronics technician. You may wonder why a course in electronics can be easy and enjoyable. There are some very good reasons. First, only the most dedicated and qualified men are United Electronics instructors, and you will have their personal guidance every step of the way. Secondly, the need for men in electronics is great, and we enjoy helping fill this need. But even more than that, we enjoy helping you secure a better future for yourself and your family. It's a pleasant association with many rewards. The warm team spirit between you and your instructors begins with your very first lesson and grows stronger as you advance. Most people outside the field know very little about electronics. You may have some general ideas from reading newspapers and magazines, but this is the jet age, the day of progress through electronics. And in spite of widespread publicity, most people do not clearly understand what an electronics technician is or what he does. Let's find out. We'll start at the beginning. Obviously, electronics involves electricity, but the basic principles of electricity are used by electronics in applications far more interesting and far more challenging than the lighting and power circuits of everyday electricity. Mainly, use of the amplifier sets electronics apart from the electrical field. An amplifier takes a very small electrical voltage, builds it up to a much larger voltage, and uses it to perform some specific action. It may turn on a guidance jet in a missile to correct its flight path, or use to produce intense heat in a chemical process, to print results of a complicated computer operation, or, from a more basic viewpoint, to operate a loudspeaker and a radio receiver. As an electronics technician, you will, of course, work with this type of equipment. Working with you will be two other groups of people who are not technicians. They are the electronics engineers and electronics mechanics, and you will understand your position better if I explain what they do. An electronics engineer has usually completed 4 to 6 years in a university to obtain an electrical engineering degree. He has years of training in the highest type of mathematics and theoretical information, but his practical knowledge is limited, and he does only theoretical work. He thinks about new applications of electronic techniques, and he designs circuits. He has neither the training nor the inclination to put his ideas into effect. He relies upon the technician, who will be you, to perform the practical applications associated with his projects. An electronics mechanic does actual work on equipment. He knows how to adjust, repair, and control the mechanisms, the machinery that may be used in connection with complex electronic systems. While an electronics mechanic is skilled in a limited way, he does not have a thorough knowledge of electronics theory. Therefore, he lacks the complete qualifications you will have as an electronics technician. With the limits in his knowledge go limits in opportunity. Not so with the electronics technician. Between the engineer and the mechanic is you, the electronics technician. Your training, knowledge, and experience encompass parts of both other categories. For example, you will have very thorough theoretical knowledge in electronics, but instead of analyzing a circuit from a mathematical viewpoint, like an engineer, you will be more concerned with what is happening within the circuit, electrically and electronically, not mathematically. In addition, you will have the same practical ability as the electronics mechanic to do actual work on equipment, but you'll have a much broader background in the field. You will know how the circuits work, understand electronics principles, and therefore be qualified for unlimited opportunities. Sometimes you will construct electronic equipment designed by the engineer, and test it thoroughly to see how nearly it does its job. In most instances, you'll report these results to the engineer, and since few circuits live up to original design expectations, this is often a beginning of a joint research project where you work closely with the engineer on modification and development until the circuit eventually performs its prescribed task. Another important function of the technician is troubleshooting. Even after newly designed electronics units have been built on a production line, they must again be tested by a technician. If this testing indicates trouble, it will be your responsibility to correct it. Other troubleshooting includes working on important government and industrial equipment already in use. For example, if a computer employing hundreds or even thousands of electronic amplifiers is not operating properly, it would be up to you to analyze the equipment and to locate and repair the defect. This is why the electronics technician has such an important part in our nation's missile program. Not only is he involved with the installation of equipment in the missile itself, the technician spends many hours checking and analyzing the operation of circuits and other equipment associated with the missile. These tests by men like you explain the superior performance of today's missile as compared with failures in earlier days of America's missile program. The electronics technician also plays a key role in automation. Industry operations that once required thousands of people are now done with a mere handful of personnel through electronics. Industrial automation is indeed expanding at a very rapid, even amazing rate. Since it is impossible to stop automation, it is truly a wise person who joins it by becoming an electronics technician. You will be entering one of the most forward movements that man has ever known. The facts are indisputable. Electronics already plays a vital part in our national defense program, as well as in business, transportation, and commerce. It is entering the home at an ever-increasing pace. Just think about the number of radios in the homes of you and your friends, and the number of television sets, the hi-fi and stereo installations, tape recorders, electronic organs, intercommunication systems, electric ranges with radar ovens, and telephones. Let's consider aviation. Men who were famous combat pilots in World War II, even Korea, would be lost in airplanes of today. Some military planes are like vast flying laboratories, dependent upon electronics to stay in the air. Speeds are so fantastic that human skills cannot match them. It takes electronic equipment in the hands of a new kind of glamour boy, the electronics technician. This new breed of man holds thousands of lives in his hands every day as thousands of jet airliners cover the earth at the speed of sound with electronics equipment as the ever-watching guardian. Electronics is even entering the auto industry. Far-sighted researchers are working to develop cars in which the driver will merely dial his destination into a small computer, then sit back and relax with electronics doing the driving safely. When you consider all the wonders of electronics, it might seem impossible to grasp the entire subject, but it isn't. Only 10 different types of electronics parts are used to accomplish all of these jobs. The very same parts found in a radio receiver are found in an electronics computer, in a piece of automation equipment, or in the controls of a missile complex. Your training program with United Electronics will lead you step by step from the basic understanding of electricity itself to an intimate knowledge of the various circuit components used in electronics equipment. After this, you will be thoroughly qualified as an electronics technician to enter any branch of electronics. As you proceed with training, you will find several areas of particular interest to you. Then, as you approach the end of your program, our placement department will help you find the very best opportunity available in line with your desires. Do you get all of this opportunity with no effort? Of course not. You must contribute real interest, genuine enthusiasm, and plenty of confidence. You'll find that this is easy because electronics is interesting. It does generate enthusiasm, and your confidence will grow as you see how quickly you're able to understand and use electronics principles. You train by doing, and that's the best way. As you begin your first project, we suggest you glance at the little folder, Advice from Your Training Director. It tells how other successful trainees from United Electronics have planned their schedule to get the most from their training and how the entire program is carried out. You soon will be on your way to join the distinguished group of United Electronics men who have earned their certificates and now hold important positions throughout the world. We hear from them almost every day, men telling of new successes in new fields. We have a saying at United Electronics that is proving to be increasingly accurate as the days go by. It's simply this: in electronics, the sky is no longer the limit.